The massive council chamber on Nexus Prime buzzed with worried voices from hundreds of different species. Alien delegates whispered among themselves, their various forms creating a strange rainbow of colors and shapes across the circular room. At the center of it all sat the High Council, looking more concerned than anyone had seen them in decades. Jiwan sat in the human section, her dark hair tied back neatly as she watched the chaos unfold. As Earth's diplomatic representative, she had attended many council meetings, but never one like this. The aliens seemed genuinely afraid, and that worried her more than she wanted to admit. "The motion before us today," announced the Vorthak Chancellor, his 6 arms gesturing dramatically, "concerns the human expansion patterns across the galaxy. For 300 years, we have watched humans spread to every corner of known space. They build colonies on worlds that would kill most of us. They mine asteroids in deadly radiation fields. They explore black hole systems that we dare not approach." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Jiwan felt a mix of pride and confusion. Yes, humans were known for being tough and fearless, but why was this suddenly a problem? The Chancellor continued, his voice growing more urgent. "Yet there are regions of space where no human ship has ever traveled, areas that form perfect boundaries around certain sectors. We have sent probe after probe to understand why, but the humans give us only vague answers." A tall, blue-skinned delegate from the Aquarian Federation stood up. "We have tried to map these forbidden zones. The pattern makes no sense. Some contain rich mineral deposits. Others have habitable planets, yet humans avoid them completely as if they do not exist." Jiwan shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She had heard whispers about navigation restrictions in certain sectors, but nothing more than routine safety protocols. Every spacefaring civilization had areas they avoided for various reasons. "Perhaps," suggested a crystalline being from the Silicate Collective, "humans have found something in these regions that they wish to keep secret. A weapon, a technology, a resource so valuable they guard it jealously." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Jiwan felt her heart racing. She activated her communication device and sent a priority message to Earth Command, requesting information about any restricted travel zones. Meanwhile, far from the council chambers, Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the UES Determination, studying star charts with his science officer Deho. The older man's weathered face showed lines of experience from decades of deep space exploration. "Sir, we're receiving new orders," reported the communications officer. Minho accepted the datapad and frowned as he read. "Classified mission parameters. We're to investigate sensor anomalies near grid section 7 Alpha." Deho's face went pale. "Captain, that's near the boundary zone." "What boundary zone?" Minho asked, noticing his officer's strange reaction. "Sir, I may be old, but I'm not senile. Section 7. Alpha borders on areas where we don't send ships, ever." Minho pulled up the navigation charts. Sure enough, there was a clear line where human exploration stopped. Not a gradual tapering off, but a sharp, definitive boundary. "Why haven't I seen this before?" "Because most captains never need to. The automated navigation systems route us around these areas automatically. It's been that way for decades." Down in the engineering section, Suman was running diagnostics on the ship's sensor array when she noticed something odd. Certain frequencies were being filtered out by systems she had never seen before. When she tried to access the relevant files, her clearance was denied. "Strange," she muttered, making notes in her personal log. "Why would we filter out electromagnetic signatures in specific frequency ranges?" Back on Nexus Prime, Jiwan finally received a response to her inquiry. The message was brief and unsatisfying. "Restricted information. Navigation protocols classified under Earth Defense Authorization 7 Prime. No further details available at your clearance level." She stared at the screen in confusion. In her 10 years as a diplomatic attaché, she had never encountered a classification level she couldn't access. What could be so secret that even Earth's primary galactic representative wasn't allowed to? "No?" The council session resumed, and the tone had grown even more serious. A representative from the warrior caste of Drakmor, a species known for their military prowess, stood to address the chamber. "We propose a simple solution," the armored figure declared. "We will send our own expeditions to these forbidden zones. If humans are hiding something valuable, we have the right to know. The galaxy's resources should not be monopolized by any single species." Ji-Wan jumped to her feet. That's completely against galactic law. Each species has the right to determine their own exploration boundaries. Not when those boundaries affect galactic security, the Drakmor warrior replied coldly. What if humans have found something dangerous? What if they're protecting a threat that could affect us all? Their secrecy only makes us more suspicious. Other species began voicing similar concerns. The Aquarian delegate pointed out unusual gravitational readings from some restricted sectors. The Silicate Collective mentioned energy signatures that appeared on long-range sensors but were never investigated. Most troubling of all, announced a representative from the Psychic Collective of Mindor, is the biometric data we've gathered from humans when questioned about these zones. Their stress responses indicate they're not lying about navigation hazards. They genuinely believe they're telling the truth, but their deeper brain patterns suggest knowledge they're not consciously accessing. Ji-Wan felt a chill run down her spine. The Mindorans were known for their ability to read psychological states with incredible accuracy. If they said humans were hiding knowledge from themselves, something very strange was happening. As the session continued, more disturbing details emerged. Trading ships that had accidentally drifted too close to boundary zones reported navigation, system failures. Long-range scanners showed areas of space that seemed to bend sensor readings in impossible ways. Most unsettling were the reports from salvage crews who claimed to find debris from ships that didn't match any known designs. The session ended with a formal resolution. Within 30 galactic standard days, the major spacefaring species would demand a full explanation from Earth's government regarding the restricted zones. If no satisfactory answer was provided, they would begin their own investigations. Ji-Wan left the chamber with her mind racing. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. Something was happening in the depths of space, something important enough to keep secret from even Earth's own diplomats. The other species were right about one thing. The pattern was too organized, too deliberate to be coincidental. As she boarded her transport back to Earth, Ji-Wan couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever. Whatever. Humans were hiding in those forbidden zones. It was big enough to scare species that had faced down black holes and survived wars that lasted centuries. The truth, whatever it was, would have to come out soon. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for it. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the UES Determination, watching the stars grow stranger as they approached Grid Section 7 Alpha. The navigation computer had tried to reroute them 3 times, each attempt requiring manual override codes. That came with his sealed orders. "Captain," called out Suman from her engineering station, "I'm getting some weird readings here. My instruments keep picking up signals that shouldn't exist." Deho looked up from his science console, concern written across his weathered features. "Sir, I've been monitoring space-time distortion patterns. Whatever's out here, it's affecting local reality in ways I've never seen before." "What kind of ways?" Minho asked, moving closer to examine the readings. "Gravitational fields that bend, in circles, light that travels slower than it should. Energy signatures that register on our sensors but then vanish when we try to record them properly." Suman pressed her hands against her temples, wincing slightly. "Is anyone else hearing that? It sounds like static, but there are patterns in it, almost like whispers." The bridge crew looked at each other with confusion. Their audio systems showed no unusual signals, but Suman seemed to be in genuine discomfort. "Take us to yellow alert," Minho ordered. "Something's not right out here." As they continued deeper into the restricted zone, the ship's sensors began detecting debris scattered across a wide area. The pieces were unlike anything in their databases. Smooth, organic curves combined with geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures dead ahead," Deho reported. "Whatever that is, it's still active after who knows how long." On the main screen, a shape materialized that defied easy description. It was clearly artificial, but not built according to any known engineering principles. Parts of it seemed to exist in normal space, while other sections appeared to phase in and out of reality. "That's not from any species in the galactic database," Minho observed. "But it looks old, really old." Suman was now clearly in pain, holding her head with both hands. "The whispers are getting louder. Captain, I don't think we should get any closer to that thing." "Negative. We have orders to investigate. Daeho, can you determine if it's safe to approach? The science officer ran multiple scans, his frown deepening with each result. Sir, this is going to sound impossible, but parts of that structure don't seem to exist in the same time stream as us. My instruments keep getting readings from the past and future simultaneously. Despite the strange readings, Minho ordered the ship to move closer. As they approached, more details became visible on the alien structure. It was covered with symbols that seemed to move when no one was looking directly at them, and sections of it pulsed with a light that cast no shadows. I'm detecting data storage systems, Daeho announced. Incredibly advanced ones. If we can interface with them safely, we might learn where this came from. Do it, but keep all safety protocols active. Suman worked through her pain to establish a connection between their computer systems and the alien device. Within minutes, data began flowing into their databases. Images, sounds, and information streams unlike anything they had ever encountered. The first images showed star systems that followed impossible orbital patterns, planets that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, solar systems where cause and effect seemed to flow backward through time. These aren't from our universe, Daeho whispered. Look at the physics readings. Gravity works differently there. Light behaves like liquid. Matter and energy exchange properties randomly. More disturbing were the final recordings. They showed massive geometric shapes, similar to the structure they had found, being constructed around the boundaries between dimensions. The beings building them looked almost familiar, but whenever the crew tried to focus on their appearance, the images seemed to shift and blur. Captain, Suman said, her voice strained. The whispers aren't random. They're coordinates, locations in space, where reality is thin, where something is trying to break through. Minho felt a chill run down his spine. Break through from where? From whatever dimension these beings came from. Daeho pulled up additional files from the alien database. What he found made his hands shake as he transferred the data to the main screen. Sir, these aren't exploration records, they're warnings. This structure, it's some kind of beacon, a distress signal that's been broadcasting across multiple dimensions for millions of years. The recording showed the final moments of an entire civilization as their universe began to collapse. The laws of physics were failing, reality itself was unraveling, and these beings were desperately trying to escape to other dimensions before everything they knew ceased to exist. But here's the truly terrifying part, Daeho continued. The process that destroyed their universe. It's spreading. Each time they break through to a new dimension, they bring some of the instability with them. Suman managed to access more recent data files, and what she found changed everything. Captain, this beacon hasn't been abandoned. It's been monitoring our galaxy for decades, and according to these readings, it's been sending signals back to wherever these beings ended up. Signals saying what? That our dimension might be suitable for colonization, that our universe has stable physics laws they could adapt to, that humanity might be compatible with their technology. Minho stared at the alien structure with new understanding. This isn't just a relic, it's an advanced scout. The implications hit all of them at once. Somewhere in the space between dimensions, an entire civilization of refugees was preparing to enter their universe. Beings whose very existence could destabilize reality itself were planning to make their home in the galaxy. Sir, Daeho said quietly, I'm finding references to previous contact attempts. The beacon has records of ships that approached it before us. Human ships. What happened to them? According to this data, they were exposed to what these beings call reality cascades. The interaction between their technology and our physics created feedback loops that erased the ships from existence. Not destroyed, erased, as if they had never been built in the first place. Suman looked up from her console, her face pale despite the pain she was obviously experiencing. That's why humans avoid these zones. Not because we found something valuable, but because we found something incredibly dangerous, something that could unravel our entire universe if we're not careful. More files revealed the full scope of the situation. The alien refugees weren't malicious, but their attempts to establish a foothold in normal space-time created ripples that could tear apart the fundamental structure of reality. They were like cosmic storm fronts, carrying the instability of their dying universe wherever they went. Captain, we need to get this information to Earth Command immediately, Deho urged. If these beings are preparing for a mass migration, the entire galaxy needs to know. But as Minho prepared to give the order to withdraw, Sumin made a disturbing discovery. Sir, the beacon is reacting to our presence. It's sending out new signals. Stronger ones. On the main screen, the alien structure began to glow more brightly. Sections that had been dormant for centuries suddenly came online, broadcasting signals into the void between dimensions. What's it telling them? Minho asked. Sumin translated as quickly as she could, though the alien language was unlike anything she had encountered. It's reporting that it's made contact with a compatible species. It's telling them that humans might be able to survive the transition process. It's inviting them to come home. The bridge fell silent as the full weight of the situation settled on them. They hadn't just discovered an alien artifact, they had accidentally triggered a beacon that was now calling an entire displaced civilization to invade their universe. Get us out of here, now, Minho ordered. As the UES determination pulled away from the beacon, they could see its signals growing stronger and more complex. Whatever was coming, their investigation had just accelerated the timeline considerably. Behind them, the ancient structure continued its broadcast, reaching across the barriers between worlds to deliver a simple message. The path was open, and humanity had just shown them the way home. Admiral Taehoon sat in his private office aboard the Earth Defense Station, staring at the classified report that had just arrived from Captain Minho's mission. At 73 years old, he had hoped never to see this day come. His weathered hands shook slightly as he read through the technical data from the alien beacon. Sir? His aide knocked on the door. The Emergency Council is ready for your briefing. Taehoon closed his eyes and took a deep breath. For 40 years, he had been part of a secret organization within Earth's military, dedicated to monitoring and containing what they called the Watchers, the ancient devices scattered throughout the boundary zones. Now their worst fears were coming true. He walked into the secure conference room where Earth's top military leaders waited. On the screens around the room, faces of other high-ranking officials appeared from secret locations across human space. Gentlemen, ladies, Taehoon began, the beacon in Grid Section 7 Alpha has been activated. After decades of dormancy, it's now broadcasting signals at unprecedented strength. General Harrison, Earth's top military commander, leaned forward. What kind of signals? Interdimensional transmissions. We've been monitoring similar broadcasts from 17 other beacon sites. They're all coordinating now, creating what our scientists believe is a galaxy-wide communication network. Across the galaxy, in a research facility hidden deep underground on Mars, Dr. Na Young was experiencing the worst headache of her life. As one of Earth's most classified assets, a natural psychic whose abilities had been discovered and developed by the military, she had been monitoring the interdimensional barriers for over a decade. The pressure is incredible, she reported to her handler via secure channel. Something massive is pushing against the boundaries between dimensions. Whatever's on the other side, it's trying to break through in multiple locations simultaneously. Meanwhile, on Luna Base, Dr. Jamin was watching his quantum computers go insane. The machines, designed to calculate probability cascades and predict dimensional instabilities, were showing readings that should have been impossible. The quantum foam is destabilizing across 17 different star systems, he reported to Admiral Taehoon. Reality itself is becoming more flexible in those regions. If this continues, the laws of physics could begin breaking down. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. News of Captain Minho's discovery had reached them through diplomatic channels, and the alien species were demanding immediate action. Jiwon found herself at the center of a political storm unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from dozens of species surrounded her, all shouting questions and demands. The humans have been hiding this from us for decades, accused the Drakmor military leader. While we worried about trade disputes and territorial boundaries, you've been sitting on evidence of an interdimensional invasion. We didn't know, Jiwon protested. I'm learning about this at the same time you are. But her words fell on deaf ears. The Aquarian Federation representative stepped forward, her blue skin flushed with anger. Your own military has been classifying information above your clearance level. How can we trust Earth's government if they don't even trust their own diplomats? The situation escalated quickly. Within hours, a coalition of the galaxy's most militaristic species announced plans to launch their own investigation fleets toward the boundary zones. They no longer trusted human explanations and were determined to discover the truth for themselves. Admiral Taehoon received word of the alien fleet preparations with a growing sense of dread. He immediately contacted his secret network of human officers stationed throughout the galaxy. All listening posts are to go to maximum alert, he ordered. If alien ships breach the quarantine zones, the interdimensional barriers could collapse completely. Dr. Na-Young's psychic abilities were now causing her physical pain as she tried to monitor the growing instability. Admiral, I'm detecting thought patterns from beyond the dimensional barriers. The entities on the other side, they're not randomly trying to break through. They're coordinated, intelligent, and they're responding to the increased activity around the beacons. What are they trying to tell us? Taehoon asked. It's hard to interpret, but the emotions are clear. Desperation, fear, and something else, hope. They think we're trying to help them. This revelation changed everything. The interdimensional beings weren't invaders in the traditional sense. They were refugees, fleeing from a universe where reality itself was breaking down. The beacons weren't weapons or invasion tools. They were distress signals, cosmic lighthouses calling out for rescue. Dr. Jamin's quantum computers confirmed what Na-Young's psychic abilities had detected. The entities are from a parallel universe where the fundamental constants of physics became unstable. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, they're all failing in their dimension. How long do they have? Admiral, Taehoon asked. Based on the degradation patterns in their transmissions, maybe months before their entire universe collapses into quantum foam. The moral implications were staggering. An entire civilization was facing extinction, and Earth's military had been keeping them isolated in the space between dimensions. But the alternative was even worse. Allowing them into normal space-time could destabilize the entire galaxy. The situation became critical when the first alien expedition ships crossed into the boundary zones. The Drakmor battlecruisers, equipped with the most advanced shields and weapons in the galaxy, approached the nearest beacon with confidence. Dr. Na-Young screamed as the psychic feedback hit her. They've made contact! The entities are trying to communicate with the alien ships! On his monitors, Dr. Jamin watched in horror as reality began to bend around the alien vessels. The Drakmor shields are actually making it worse. Their defensive systems are creating resonance cascades with the interdimensional field generators. Admiral Taehoon opened a priority channel to the alien fleet commander. This is Earth Defense Command. You must withdraw immediately. Your presence is destabilizing the containment field. We do not take orders from humans, came the reply. We will discover what you've been hiding. What happened next would be remembered as the first interdimensional disaster in galactic history. The interaction between Drakmor military technology and the beacon's reality-altering fields created a feedback loop that tore a hole in space-time itself. Dr. Na-Young collapsed as alien thoughts flooded her mind. They're coming through. The entities. They think the alien ships are rescue vessels. Through the dimensional rift, beings of pure energy began emerging into normal space. But their very existence in a universe with stable physics laws created waves of instability that spread outward like ripples in a pond. The first Drakmor ship simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed or vaporized, it was retroactively prevented from ever having been built. The second ship found itself existing in HFY 17 different time periods simultaneously before its crew went insane from the temporal displacement. Sir, Dr. Jamin reported, his voice shaking, the instability is spreading. If it reaches populated systems, entire planets could be erased from history. Admiral Taehoon made the decision he had hoped never to make. Activate the Quantum Guardian. Protocol. All human vessels in the boundary zones are to begin emergency reality stabilization procedures. Across human space, secret installations that had been hidden for decades suddenly came online. Massive quantum field generators, disguised as routine communication relays and research stations, began broadcasting stabilization fields to contain the spreading dimensional chaos. The other galactic species watched in amazement as humanity revealed technology they had never suspected existed. Earth's military had been preparing for this scenario for 40 years, building a network of reality anchors designed to prevent interdimensional contamination. But as more alien ships approached other beacon sites, it became clear that human technology alone wouldn't be enough. The entities beyond the dimensional barriers weren't just trying to escape anymore. They were trying to save the galaxy from the instability their own presence was creating. Dr. Nayung, despite her pain, managed to translate their desperate messages. They're trying to warn us. The dimensional rifts are spreading both ways. Our universe is starting to affect theirs too. If we can't stabilize the barriers soon, both realities could collapse. Admiral Taehoon stared at the tactical displays showing spreading chaos across multiple star systems. Humanity had spent decades guarding against this threat, but now they faced a terrible choice. Let an entire civilization die to preserve galactic stability, or risk everything in an attempt to save both universes. The entities beyond the barriers had one final message, delivered through Dr. Nayung's failing psychic link. Help us help you. Together we can fix what is broken. Time was running out, and the decisions made in the next few hours would determine the fate of two entire universes. The emergency meeting in Admiral Taehoon's command center brought together the most brilliant minds in human space. Dr. Nayung sat pale and exhausted in her chair, psychic feedback still causing her visible pain. Dr. Jamin's quantum computers surrounded him like a fortress of blinking lights and incomprehensible calculations. The situation is worse than we feared, Admiral Taehoon announced to the assembled team. 3 more alien expedition fleets have breached the boundary zones. Each contact is making the dimensional rifts larger and more unstable. Captain Minho had been recalled from his patrol to join the emergency response team. Engineer Suman sat beside him, still sensitive to the interdimensional signals, but now able to interpret them with the help of human technology. "Sir," Suman reported, "I'm picking up coherent messages from the entities. They're not trying to invade, they're trying to repair something." Dr. Jamin looked up from his computers. "That matches our quantum analysis. The entities exist in a universe where the fundamental constants are collapsing. They've been using their advanced technology to try to stabilize reality, but their methods only work in their dimension." "What does that mean for us?" asked Dr. Nayung, rubbing her temples. "It means they're essentially cosmic engineers trying to prevent the complete breakdown of physical laws. But when they interact with our stable universe, they create instabilities. Here, too." The pieces of a terrible puzzle began falling into place. Decades earlier, when human exploration first encountered the interdimensional beings, Earth's scientists had discovered something unprecedented. Human consciousness operated on quantum frequencies that created natural barriers against reality distortion. That's why the first human ships to contact them weren't just destroyed, Admiral Taehoon explained to the newer team members. They were erased from existence because the reality waves couldn't properly interact with human neural patterns. We were essentially quantum immune to their reality-altering abilities. Dr. Nayung had spent years studying this phenomenon. Human brains generate specific brainwave patterns when processing information. These patterns create interference with the quantum fields the entities use to manipulate reality. We're like natural insulators against dimensional instability. This discovery had led to the development of the Quantum Guardian Protocol, a galaxy-wide network of human-operated reality stabilization devices designed to contain interdimensional contamination. For 40 years, humanity had secretly served as the galaxy's shield against cosmic-level threats, but now everything was changing. The alien expedition fleets, lacking human neural protection, were creating feedback loops that amplified the dimensional rifts instead of containing them. "The Drakmor battle group has lost 2 more ships," reported the communications officer. "The surviving crews are reporting temporal displacement effects. Some crew members are aging rapidly while others are becoming younger." On the main screen, they watched footage from the alien ships showing reality literally breaking down around them. Gravity was flowing in rivers through the corridors. Light was pooling in corners like liquid. Metal was transforming into crystalline, structures that sang when touched. Dr. Jamin's computers provided a constant stream of increasingly alarming data. The dimensional instabilities are spreading at light speed. If they reach the galactic core, the gravitational effects alone could tear apart solar systems. "What about the other beacon sites?" Minho asked. 17 active locations, all showing increased activity. The entities are trying to coordinate a massive reality stabilization project, but they need help from this side of the dimensional barrier. Dr. Na-Young suddenly straightened in her chair, her eyes wide with new understanding. I'm getting clearer. Communications now, they're not just refugees, they're reality repair technicians. Their entire civilization developed around fixing dimensional instabilities. She closed her eyes, concentrating despite the pain. They're saying their universe started collapsing millions of years ago. They've been moving from dimension to dimension, trying to find one stable enough to serve as an anchor point for cosmic repairs. An anchor point for what? For fixing the fundamental structure of space-time itself. They believe the instability in their universe is spreading to other dimensions through quantum entanglement. If they can't stop it here, it will eventually destroy all parallel realities. The implications were staggering. The entities weren't just trying to save themselves, they were trying to save the entire multiverse from a cascade failure that would reduce all existence to quantum foam. Admiral Tae-hoon studied the tactical displays showing the spreading chaos. What do they need from us? Dr. Na-Young translated the psychic messages as they came through. Human neural patterns. Our natural quantum immunity makes us the perfect partners for dimensional repair work. They can provide the technology and knowledge, but they need human consciousness to stabilize the process. How many humans? All of them. The room fell silent as the full scope of what the entities were proposing became clear. They wanted every human in the galaxy to link their consciousness together, creating a massive quantum field generator powered by the collective human mind. Dr. Jamin's computers confirmed the theoretical possibility. If we could synchronize the brain waves of every human simultaneously, the quantum interference pattern would be powerful enough to stabilize dimensional barriers across multiple star systems. But the risks, Admiral Tae-hoon protested. Linking every human consciousness together, what would that do to individual identity? To free will? The entities are promising it would only be temporary, Dr. Na-Young replied. A few hours at most, just long enough to repair the worst dimensional damage and establish permanent stabilization fields. Sumin looked up from her engineering console. I'm detecting something else. The entities aren't the only things trying to break through the dimensional barriers. There's something else behind them, something they're running from. The new readings showed massive energy signatures approaching from the deepest levels of interdimensional space. Whatever was pursuing the entities dwarfed them in scale and power. What is that? Minho asked. Dr. Jamin's face went pale as his computers processed the data. It's the quantum decay itself. The complete breakdown of physical laws has become a self-sustaining process. It's consuming realities like a cosmic storm front, and it's been following the entities as they moved from dimension to dimension. How long before it reaches us? Based on current propagation rates, maybe weeks. When it arrives, it won't just destroy our universe. It will retroactively prevent our universe from ever having existed in the first place. The true enemy was revealed. Not the interdimensional beings, but the fundamental collapse of existence itself. The entities had been running from this cosmic catastrophe for millions of years, trying to find a reality stable enough to serve as a firebreak against the spreading decay. They chose our universe because of us, Dr. Na-Young realized. Human consciousness is uniquely suited to anchor reality during repair operations. We're the only species they've found that can survive direct exposure to quantum instability. Admiral Tae-hoon made the hardest decision of his military career. Contact Earth Command. We need to begin immediate preparations for a galaxy-wide evacuation of all non-essential personnel to human-controlled systems. Sir, if we're going to attempt this reality repair project, we'll need to clear potential blast zones of civilian populations, and we'll need to convince every other species in the galaxy to trust us with the most dangerous operation in cosmic history. The plan was becoming clear, even as its risks became more terrifying. Humanity would serve as quantum anchors while the interdimensional entities provided the technology needed to repair the barriers between realities. Together, they would attempt to stop the advancing wave of existential decay before it consumed everything that had ever been. But first, they had to convince the galaxy's other species to evacuate their homeworlds and place their entire civilizations in human hands. and they had to do it while reality itself was coming apart at the seams around them. "Begin broadcasting on all diplomatic channels," Admiral Tehun ordered. "It's time to tell the galaxy the truth about what we've been guarding against. And it's time to ask for their help in saving existence itself." The message would be simple, but devastating. Humanity had been protecting the galaxy from interdimensional threats for 40 years, but now those threats had evolved beyond containment. The only hope for survival was the most dangerous cooperation in galactic history, a partnership between human consciousness and alien technology to perform surgery on reality itself. Time was running out, and the fate of not just the galaxy, but all possible galaxies hung in the balance. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen anything like it. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in stunned silence as Admiral Tehun finished his presentation. The holographic displays around the room showed the spreading dimensional chaos, the advancing wave of quantum decay, and humanity's proposed solution. Jiwan stood beside the Admiral, no longer just a diplomatic attaché, but Earth's official representative in what might be the last negotiation in galactic history. "You're asking us to evacuate our entire civilizations," said the Aquarian Federation delegate, her voice barely above a whisper, "to place our survival in the hands of a species that has been lying to us for decades." "We weren't lying," Jiwan replied firmly. "We were protecting you. Every ship we turned away from the boundary zones, every navigation restriction we enforced, it was all to prevent exactly what's happening now." The Drakmor military commander, whose fleet had triggered the current crisis, stood with obvious shame. "Our aggressive actions have doomed us all. The honor-bound thing to do is accept human leadership in this operation." But not all species were ready to trust humanity. The crystalline beings of the Silicate Collective vibrated with skeptical frequencies. "How do we know this isn't an elaborate scheme to establish human dominance over the galaxy? You ask us to abandon our worlds and submit to your mental linking technology." Admiral Tehun stepped forward, his weathered face showing the weight of 40 years keeping this secret. "Because if we fail, there won't be a galaxy left to dominate. The quantum decay wave will erase everything, every planet, every star, every civilization. We'll all cease to have ever existed." Across the galaxy, the reality repair operation was already beginning. Captain Minho commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled, with ships from every colony world converging on the 17 beacon sites. Engineer Suman had been promoted to Chief Quantum Engineer, overseeing the installation of human neural interface systems across the entire fleet. "Captain," Suman reported from her new command center, "we've successfully linked the consciousness patterns of 3 million humans so far. The quantum interference field is stabilizing dimensional barriers in a 50-light-year radius around Earth." Dr. Nayung, despite the constant pain from psychic feedback, maintained communication with the interdimensional entities. "They're ready to begin the major repairs, but they need more human neural anchors. The quantum decay is spreading faster than expected." On Mars, Dr. Jamin's quantum computers were running calculations that pushed them beyond their design limits. "The decay wave is only 6 days out from the galactic rim. If we're going to attempt this operation, it has to be now." The interdimensional beings had finally managed to send a representative into normal space-time. The entity appeared as a shifting geometric pattern that hurt to look at directly, but its presence allowed for clearer communication than ever before. Through Dr. Nayung, it spoke to the assembled human command staff. "Your species is unique. In all realities we have encountered, your consciousness creates quantum stability instead of chaos. You are the bridge between broken physics and repair." "What exactly do you need us to do?" Admiral Tehun asked. "Every human mind must link together and think the same thought simultaneously. The combined quantum signature will create an anchor, point strong enough to allow us to repair the fundamental structure of space-time." The technical challenge was staggering. Linking the consciousness of billions of humans across hundreds of star systems required technology that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Human engineers worked around the clock to install quantum neural transmitters on every ship, station, and colony in human space. Meanwhile, the other galactic species were making their choice. One by one, they began evacuating their populations to human-controlled systems. The massive refugee fleets created the largest migration in galactic history, with billions of alien beings placing their lives in human hands. The Vorthak Confederation has completed their evacuation, reported the communications officer. The Mindorans are requesting permission to assist with the neural linking process using their psychic abilities. Granted, Admiral Tehun replied. We'll need every advantage we can get. The countdown began with 3 days remaining before the quantum decay reached the galactic edge. Human colonies from the outer rim began the neural linking procedure, their combined consciousness creating expanding bubbles of stable reality. Dr. Nayung collapsed as the full weight of billions of linked minds flooded through her psychic abilities. It's working! The quantum interference patterns are incredibly strong. The entities can begin repairs on the outer beacon sites. Through the dimensional rifts, the interdimensional beings began their work. Their advanced technology, guided by human quantum anchors, started repairing the fundamental constants of physics in the affected regions. Gravity resumed normal behavior. Light stopped pooling in corners. Time began flowing in the correct direction. But the process was taking too long. The quantum decay was moving faster than their repairs. We need more power, the entity communicated through Dr. Nayung. The decay has become self-sustaining. We need the consciousness of every sapient being in the galaxy. This was the moment of ultimate trust. Admiral Tehun opened communication channels to the refugee fleets. This is Earth Defense Command to all evacuated populations. We need you to join the neural link. Your consciousness patterns combined with human anchoring might provide enough power to complete the repairs. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Despite their fear and uncertainty, the alien species agreed to link their minds with humanity's. Aquarian thought patterns merged with human neural signatures. Drakmor warrior consciousness joined the collective effort. Even the crystalline silicate beings contributed their unique quantum frequencies. The combined consciousness of the entire galaxy created a quantum field so powerful that reality itself became malleable. Guided by the interdimensional entity's technology and anchored by human neural patterns, the greatest engineering project in cosmic history began. They rebuilt the barriers between dimensions. They repaired the fundamental constants of physics. In dozens of star systems, they created permanent quantum stabilization fields that would prevent future dimensional contamination. Most importantly, they stopped the advancing wave of quantum decay. The collective consciousness of billions of sapient beings, working in perfect harmony, managed to reinforce the basic structure of reality itself. When the process was complete, Dr. Nayung delivered the final message from the interdimensional entities. Thank you. Both universes are now stable. We will return to our dimension and establish permanent monitoring stations to prevent future cascade failures. The neural links were gradually disconnected, allowing individual consciousness to return to normal. Across the galaxy, beings who had shared thoughts and experiences with completely alien minds were forever changed by the experience. Admiral Tehun stood before the reformed Galactic Council, no longer as a keeper of secrets, but as humanity's representative in a new era of cosmic cooperation. The boundary zones will remain under joint monitoring, he announced. Humanity will continue to serve as quantum anchors, but now as partners with all galactic species in maintaining dimensional stability. Ji-won looked out at the assembled representatives, no longer seeing suspicion and fear, but respect and gratitude. Humans are untouchable not because we're superior, but because we're willing to stand guard against threats that could destroy us all. We've always been the galaxy's guardians, and we always will be. The other species finally understood why. Even the Boldest had learned to respect human boundaries. It wasn't fear of human weapons or technology. It was respect for their willingness to sacrifice everything to protect the galaxy. Captain Minho returned to exploration duty, but now his missions included joint expeditions with alien crews who understood the importance of dimensional monitoring. Engineer Suman led the development of new quantum technologies that would allow early detection of reality instabilities. Dr. Nayung established the Galactic Psychic Corps, training beings from multiple species to monitor interdimensional communications. Dr. Jamin's quantum computers became the foundation for a galaxy-wide early warning system. The interdimensional beings kept their promise, returning to their stabilized dimension but maintaining communication through the beacon network. They shared their advanced technology freely, helping the galaxy develop defenses against future cosmic threats. Years later, when young beings from every species learned about the Great Linking in their history classes, they understood that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their fearlessness or their technology. It was their willingness to carry impossible burdens to protect others. The galaxy was safe, reality was stable, and humanity continued its eternal watch at the boundaries of the possible, ensuring that the light of consciousness would never be extinguished by the darkness between dimensions.